Hello, beautiful divine soul, and welcome to your August energy forecast with your host, me, Emily the Mystic. You know that I love and adore creating these energy updates for you. They are my favorite episode that I create every single month, and they are my most requested and most downloaded and most enjoyed episode. So, as always, I can't wait to get into the forecast with you all today. And just a reminder that if you're enjoying these energy forecasts, if you're enjoying my podcast, if you're loving the mystical guest episodes, don't forget to leave a review for me on your favorite podcast host, whether that be Apple Podcasts or Spotify or wherever you're listening to your podcast. If you could leave me a review and let me know what this podcast means to you and how it's helped you, that would mean the absolute world to me because it helps me see that my work is impacting you. It's making sense. It's resonating. If you're watching this video on YouTube, you can, of course, comment below and let me know how this specific August energy forecast is sitting with you. And I love to read your comments. I do my best to try to respond to as many as I can. So I just really appreciate the feedback and the thought and support from you because it's just so fun to have you, my listener, receiving this. And I really, truly hope that my work is landing in your life. So I can't wait to get into it today. I like to begin these energy forecasts with a little bit of a personal update, a business update, so you can kind of get a feel for how my energy is right now as I'm sitting down to record this. So actually right now we are still in the midst of July, and we actually just had a pretty, I will say, explosive week in terms of big deal news and things happening, especially within the political realm here in the United States. Now, I am not going to get into that because this is not a political podcast, and this energy forecast is not about that. But what it does is when there are big things that happen in the collective, obviously we can feel the energetic ripple effect of that. And potentially we may even sort of feel in our own personal lives like, whoa, something is shifting, something is changing. And we're going to continue to start to feel that moving forward as we head into the month of August, especially this fall in 2024. I am not a trained astrologer. I simply am an astrology lover and someone who spends a lot of time reading and learning about astrology and the transits that are happening. So by no means am I an astrology expert or someone who can use the planetary alignments to help predict things or create sort of a predictive forecast around astrology. But what I do is based on my knowledge of the lunar shifts, the full moon, the new moons, as well as some of the major astrological shifts that I, as again, an astrology lover, have the ability to read and interpret, as well as, of course, my own knowledge of the Akashic Records and my ability as a channel. I love to give you my sort of points and understanding and awareness of what I'm seeing and feeling and sensing for me to hopefully help you with your life be able to best move forward. Because truly what I keep telling everyone is that there are going to continue to be crazy things happening out there on the world stage. Yes, there are. And what we can do is strap ourselves in for the ride, knowing that a lot of what's going on out there is out of our control. But what we can do is we can be aware of what's happening so that if we know energetically that things might be a little bit more volatile, we can be aware of that in our own personal lives and maybe take better care of ourselves or stay more grounded or do things that can help really keep our nervous system in a calm and resting place. And that way you can start to feel better no matter what is happening out there in the world. Because especially if you live in the United States, and as we're heading towards a big election time frame here later on this fall, we're going to continue to see things in a big way continue to shift and change. And it's going to be really interesting. So again, I'm strapped in. We're going to see. I've got my popcorn. I'm just like, whatever happens, happens. it's all going to be very interesting. So I hope you will be curious about that with me and open to the possibilities of how our earth is going to shift and change. Ideally, as you know, I am all about helping us as a collective, helping our humanity be on our highest ascension timeline, meaning that we are changing the world from our own backyards and doing the best that we can to support ourselves internally so that we can energetically see a ripple effect outwards and ideally help everyone around us. So I know that things in our systems and in our world are going to have to crumble, are going to have to shift and change in order to create space for new waves of new possibilities for us to happen as a collective. And things may start to feel a little bit sticky before they start to feel better. And that's okay. All we can do is pay attention to ourselves and our own journeys and our own families and our communities and do our best to impact each other, especially within the spiritual community, in order to live our highest vibrational life. So anyway, with all that being said, despite the craziness happening out there, I myself had a really enjoyable month of July. Again, it's still happening. It is still mid-July, but you may have seen on Instagram, I've been out and about a little bit more than normal. I tend to kind of put my head down and be working on my business and working on my personal projects and things for most of the year. And this month I was like, you know what? I was invited to a lot of different things and really have taken the time to be living, to be enjoying life, to be traveling, to be spending time with friends, family members, loved ones, all different kinds of people, all different groups of people in my life. And it's been so rewarding because I really get to see the benefit of the inner work that I've been doing and the awareness that I've created and how that ripple effect has helped me when I'm outside of my comfort zone, doing things that may not be, inside of my normal realm of routine. I really get to see how my inner work has impacted the way that I show up. And that's been so cool for me because I am someone who has a history of anxiety, a history of, I have been in the past. I have been a big worry wart. I've been someone who has lived in my mind, worrying and ruminating and thinking all of the time. And to see how the work that I've been doing on myself has really helped me slow down, relax, be present, enjoy being in the present moment is really starting to pay off. And I'm really starting to enjoy that. And I have a lot more travel planned for the rest of the year, which I'm looking forward to. So I really get to see the benefit of working on the go and also still enjoying life on the go. So that has been so, so, so good for me. And the biggest piece of guidance that I could give you if you feel like you've been stuck in your head this summer or worried or anxious is to catch yourself in it. When you find yourself lost in a moment worrying or overthinking about a story or overthinking about something in the future or in your past, it's time to really snap yourself out of it and bring yourself into the present moment. And the way that I do that is I take deep breaths. I'm like, okay, Emily, we are stuck in a story. I'm bringing myself into this present moment and I am going to take some deep breaths. And wow, has that practice really been helping me? And I am all about having those daily routines and rituals and practices. I'm a huge fan of breath work, for example. And to give you a quick little free resource, I love Breathe with Sandy on YouTube. I'm not affiliated with him at all, but I love his videos. I love his work. I will do a breathwork video to help kind of keep myself grounded. I will do my morning routine and nighttime routine rituals that I filmed on my YouTube channel. So you can absolutely check those out as well. And just having those little practices morning and night helps create a container of safety for myself that even if I am traveling, even if I am on the go, I can really start to feel better and regulate myself and start the next day feeling even better if I've had an emotionally charged day or if something crazy has happened out there in the world, I can really bring myself back to center. So all of that has been great. And of course, I'm really looking forward to this fall. One of the big trips that I have coming up is my Asheville fairy retreat, my fall fairy retreat that is happening at the first weekend of October 3rd through 6th in Asheville, North Carolina. I'm really excited about this retreat because it's going to bring together a really intimate small group of women who know that they are here to use their intuitive and psychic gifts to connect with the elemental realm. So we're talking about the fairies, the dragons, we're talking all about the mermaids, we're talking about all of the different spirits and energies connected with the elemental realm and learning how to discern their frequency and learn how to channel them as well. So we're going to be doing a lot of meditative work during this retreat. So we'll be doing spiritual practice, of course, but then we'll also be doing fun things. We're going to be doing a beautiful guided waterfall hike. Asheville is known for its beautiful hiking trails, its beautiful waterfalls. So we're going to be doing that. We've got a trip planned to the hot springs outside of Asheville. We're going to be touring Asheville itself. So there's going to be a lot of fun activities and things to explore. So if you're thinking about your fall travel, if you're thinking and wanting an opportunity to get out of your comfort zone, meet like-minded women in a very small and intimate retreat setting. This is not a big retreat, so you're really going to get close with the other women in this group. I would highly encourage you to fill out the form on my website, emilythemystic.com/retreat. Fill out that form. I'll send you an email back with the information about the pricing. We still have a couple of beds left, so I would love for you to claim one of those spots and join us on this exciting retreat. And then one more quick business update before we get into the August energy update. Of course, we're coming up on that time of year again where I will be teaching the Akashic Records one more time before 2024 is over. And then this beautiful certification, my Akashic Records certification, will not be open again until the beginning of 2025. So it's your last opportunity to learn the records with me and learn how to do Akashic Records readings for others before this year is over. I teach an incredible 12-week fully guided certification where we meet every single week. The first 6 weeks are focused on helping you learn how to open your own records, which is a really powerful self-healing tool where you learn how to channel your own past lives, how to go back into your childhood to heal from all things that may be affecting you in this lifetime. And I teach you a variety of different healing tools, techniques, and questions to ask your record keepers so that you can focus on your own self-healing journey. You can start to learn how to manifest things using your records, and you can get yourself into that beautiful place that you've always dreamed of in your life, while also learning how to do readings for others. So if you're a spiritual practitioner, if you're someone who has been wanting to add another modality to your toolbox, or at least you can use the records for anything. You can use them for channeling your social media content. You can use them for channeling a book if you're a writer. You can use them for your podcast if you're wanting to start a podcast. You can use the records for anything. So I teach you how to do readings for others and how to use the records for a variety of different real life implications. So it is such a cool modality. There is nothing else out there like it. Truly, the certification is so unique. I don't know anyone else who teaches the records in the way that I do. And it's so fun. We have a very, again, beautiful, intimate virtual community that we create. You get to meet the other people in the group. It's open to all genders, of course, not just women. So please come join us. And you will, of course, leave a fully certified Akashic Records record consultant if you decide to do all of the different supplementary and practice materials. We are going to be starting that certification towards the end of September, so there is plenty of time to join. By the time this episode is released, you will be able to either put down a deposit for the certification or actually fully jump in to the certification itself. All the details will be in the show notes and on my website, so check it out. Okay, so those are my updates. I can't wait to get into it. August is going to be a bit of a different frequency than July, which, I'm open to and excited for because it just means something different, right? As I am filming this, it is actually the first day of Leo season. So the sun has moved into the sign of Leo. And Leo is a very charismatic, passionate, extroverted sign. And it is also a fire sign. So with that being said, and because we're going to be spending the majority of August in the sign of Leo until the sun moves into Virgo towards the end of the month, what the Akashic Record keepers were sharing with me is that, and they're funny. Oh my gosh. So, by the way, just a quick side note here for those of my channelers out there. So, if you're listening to this and you are a channel yourself, maybe you do readings for others, or you work with your own Akashic Records, or you do whatever you do something in the psychic and intuitive arts per se. I did this energy update a little bit differently than I normally do. And what I did was I lay down with my headphones and my eye mask. I opened the records and I channeled this verbally and recorded myself and then did a little written transcription of it. So I'm going off of my notes here and damn, is this good? Damn, is this juicy? I have to say, I was really impressed with myself with how this came through. Normally I just sit down, I've got my eyes open, I'm asking them questions, I'm typing it out. But this time I went full into trance mode and there is a lot here. So I'm excited again to get into it. But the guides were funny this month and they were saying that August 2024 is going to be a hot and heavy, spicy month. It's going to be a spicy month. All right. And let's see, let's talk about our relationship to life when things get spicy. There may be some of you out there, especially those of you who have Leo placements, who may kind of enjoy, when things get a little bit hot, when things maybe, and I'm not saying that you're somebody who enjoys drama. That's not what I'm trying to say here. But maybe you're someone who actually really enjoys when things are dynamic. That's really what it's about. When things get dynamic and things move and things shift and things change, and you kind of get this opportunity to be a little bit outside of your comfort zone, that's really what Leo season is all about. So again, what's your relationship to life when things get spicy, when things really start to heat up? That's really what I want you to kind of tune into, because if you're someone who tends to really just sort of shrink back and freeze and go in a corner when life gets a little bit different, when the unexpected starts happening and when life starts to really kind of heat up and shift and change, or are you like, you know what? I'm just going to kind of be here for the ride and I'm going to ride the wave and I'm going to see what happens. That's the energy that we really want to be in this month, is open and curious about how things are going to unfold. The guides were, again, joking and saying it's an opportunity to be on our spiciest timeline this month, with things really, again, starting to heat up and possibly change in a good way. And I will remind you that diamonds are made with pressure and heat, right? So you may feel like there is a little bit of a pressure or an intensity in your life this month. This could also be more of a collective thing. But if you do feel like things in your life start to heat up in a way, a reminder that pressure creates alchemy, and that alchemy creates transformation. And that transformation helps you be a totally different person on August 31st than you are today as you listen to this podcast episode. So what the record keepers were sharing with me, and by the way, if you don't know who the record keepers are, they are a group of ascended master teachers and guides, light beings, another word to call them, or angels, if you want to call them that, who I channel when I connect with the Akashic Records. So that's who I'm referring to as who gave me this information. Anyway, so the record keepers were saying that by the end of this month, things that are not aligned are really going to be shaken out of reach or shaken away, or will fall away with some sort of natural quality. It's almost like there could be things that just sort of get shaken up and shaken out of our lives. And that may be a good thing. So you may see friendships that just just sort of get shaken out of your life, or you're just like, I kind of sense this person really isn't it for me anymore, and I'm just going to kind of let it go. Or that could be anything from a job to a relationship to a project that you're working on. Things may just get shaken out in a way of your energy field. And that could, they were saying, for some people, bring about some explosive, hot and heavy, intense moments where things really kind of come to a fruition. Things kind of come to culmination. They come to a head. And you're like, okay, this is it. This is really an intense moment. And I know I may need to make a change, or I need to make a different choice. And then the pressure starts to release and you start to feel better, because all of a sudden you come to the realization, the awareness that something in your life is not here for you anymore and you need to move on from it. So there could be some hot and heavy conversations. So be gentle with yourself and your emotions as you may be feeling just kind of a bit hotter temperature wise than normal. And that too, as I was saying before, this could really land in a collective way. So we may begin, and I've really felt this during the midst of, I will say, the big first political thing that happened during the month of July, that weekend. You will know what I'm referring to, when that things really started to change course over the weekend at the beginning of July. I really felt this collective agitation, this sort of energy of just like, oh, like this is super uncomfortable. And you sort of feel this heat, this pressure that's starting to build, that's starting to pick up. And I am getting hot. I'm starting to sweat as I am filming this because I'm also channeling this sort of in the moment as well. So I am really feeling this heat that's starting to build in my own body as I am filming this. And you may really start to feel that heat, that pressure, that intensity during the month of August. It may also just be a really hot month, temperature-wise. I know it's summer, of course, but, I'm just kind of picking up on there may be continue to be some big heat waves, or even just fire in general during the course of this month. So again, things are going to be hot. And when things are hot, you're going to need to cool yourself off. So what the guides are saying to me right now, and I also have the 5 of Swords card here, which is a card of conflict. And this card can indicate that there may be a little bit of drama that's happening. And not that, drama, is not necessarily a bad thing. It just may mean, number one, if you feel like you're really being reactive in a moment because you are feeling hot, you are feeling agitated, to take a few minutes to take some deep breaths. Pull yourself out when you're like starting to react, or you're getting angry at someone, or you're just really kind of having an explosive response. Pull yourself back, take some deep breaths. Oh, okay. Do I really need to say this? Is this really what I mean in the moment? Are my words are so valuable? And is this really how I want to respond in this situation? So if you find yourself behind closed doors getting agitated or hot and just kind of reactive to something, really just pull yourself back to center. Pull yourself back to center before you respond too quickly. This is also really important because August, unfortunately, you know what? I'm not going to say that. We're going to delete and cancel that. And Sam, I'm going to ask you, my podcast editor, to where I said August, unfortunately, we want to get rid of that. I'm going to start fresh. So August is the beginning of Mercury retrograde. Yes, the planet Mercury goes retrograde again during the month of August. Yes, it does go retrograde 3 to 4 times a year. So it does happen probably more often than you think, but it is such a part of our lives, you guys, that Mercury retrograde, I think, sometimes can get a really bad rap and make us feel like, oh, there's so much happening all at once. And I am bringing it up for you to know that it's going to create this sort of flavor of things happening behind the scenes that, to my point about being aware of your emotional response and being aware of when you may feel agitated, to, because of the fact that Mercury, the planet of communications, is retrograde, to be aware that your words matter. And if Mercury retrograde, the planet of communications, Mercury, is in retrograde, to be aware that things may get misinterpreted, or wires may get crossed, or miscommunications may happen during this time. So just be super, super careful. This doesn't mean to censor yourself, and this doesn't mean to avoid having the conversation or push your emotions down, but it does mean to just check yourself and be like, okay, do I really mean what I have to say? And that may be, for those of you who have a bigger platform, maybe you've got a podcast or you're on social media, to just be aware of what you're sharing with others and do so in a tactful way, an honest and yet tactful way, And this is not to say to worry and care about what other people think of you to the extreme, but just to be aware of how your words may come across to others and to not just blast something out there in the moment because you're feeling passionate. To just take a moment to breathe and to think. Whenever you start to feel the heat build, return back to the breath. Okay, that's so important this month. And as the guides were also saying too, I'm going to get back to Mercury retrograde in a little bit, but they were also reminding me to tell you that if your fuse is feeling a little bit shorter than normal, or you're feeling a little bit more triggered than normal, August is a great month to get back into your practices again. If you've been like me, you've been traveling during June and July, and you've been all over the place. Maybe you're still vacationing or you're still out there, around, out and around during the month of August, to take your practices with you. Get back into some semblance of a routine. Or maybe you're waking up, you're putting on your spiritual protection, you're asking for help to clear your energy from your spirit guide team, you're cutting cords with people, at least starting your day with that. That can take 3 minutes. It doesn't have to take 3 hours. And then going on with the course of your day. Or maybe doing a 5-minute breath work video at the beginning of the day. Doing little things, pulling a card for yourself, getting back into some of the practices again can help you feel connected and can help you stay grounded even when things start to heat up, even when things start to feel kind of hot. So with that in mind, with Mercury going retrograde on August 4th at the very beginning of this month, which will last until August 28th. And yes, Mercury does have a shadow period that will last until mid-September, but at least the bulk of our month is going to have this sort of shadow on it when it comes to this Mercury retrograde planetary placement. So Mercury retrograde in general, as I was saying before, is not something to fear, but it is something that really starts to bring things back into balance. And it may make us slow down, and it may make it difficult for us to work on the hard things or to get a lot of work done or to do things that are not aligned. Of course, we don't want to do anything that's not aligned, but if there are places in your life where you're starting to feel things shift and change and you start to feel, kind of this discomfort building, you may find it a little bit harder for you to stay focused and to stay on task this month. I have the 9 of Wands here, which is a card of just feeling like there's a lot on your plate, a lot on your shoulders, just a lot going on. So you may even start to feel like there is a lot happening in your life this month. And the guides were showing me a visual representation of this by showing me a tightrope and the feeling and the sensation of what it feels like to balance on a tightrope. Now, I personally have never been on a tightrope, but what I know about walking on a tightrope is that the best way to get across a long tightrope is not to run across it because you could fall. The best way to get across a tightrope is to take it slow. So you may really need to move slowly to get from one end of the room to the other. So you may need to move slowly in order to get some of your projects done. Or you may really need to be patient with different areas of your life. And so if you start to see things in your life slow down, or if you start to see things in your life that we're normally moving at a fast clip, or you're starting to see things, move and change and you feel good about it, or you feel like people aren't getting back to you or not responding to you, just be aware of Mercury retrograde forcing us to kind of be on this balance. Being on a tightrope is all about balance. And so Mercury retrograde is going to help us bring things back into balance and possibly slow us down. And whenever I'm getting slowed down, I always remind myself that it is a moment of divine timing and divine protection. So Mercury retrograde, of course, can bring about the airport delays. It can bring about the deadline delays. It can bring about the tech snafus. It's more difficult for you to get on a Zoom call than at other times of the year, etc. So with any and all delays, just remind yourself it's divine protection. Perhaps I'm getting delayed 5 minutes or an hour or 5 hours or whatever it is because there's something else happening. Something else is lining up in my life in a different way. So trust the timing, even if you're getting frustrated. And if you're noticing that things are really just not working, you know to step away from it, to move on, to let it go. All right. So another thing that could be coming up during the month of August is I'm going to speak to what I channeled earlier at the beginning of this year. I did a whole energy forecast for the year of 2024. And in this 2024 energy forecast, I really talk about the word authority being a big theme this year. And we seeing a change in authority in some way, especially here in the United States, seeing the authority change to somebody new. We don't know who that's going to be yet. I know a lot of astrologers out there probably have their own thoughts on that. But to me, I'm not fully tuning into it. I'm just going to be open to however this is going to unfold in front of my eyes here on the world stage. But I do know that things are going to be different. We do know that the authority is going to be changing. And we can smell that change in the air. We can feel that change in the air. We can sense as a collective that something is going to be different. So the guides are reminding you that you can focus on what you can do in your corner of the world to make your life a bit smoother, to get your life in a better place, and to stop directing your energy or focus elsewhere where you're not seeing the return of your focused energy. August is really going to put us into a place, and they're bringing me back to the word authority again, a place of leading ourselves, learning to lead ourselves through anything and everything. So I have the Wheel of Fortune card here. The Wheel of Fortune means that anything and everything can happen. Expect the unexpected. And I really love this card because it just means like there are definitely going to be good things happening and there's definitely going to be a balance. There could be some crazy things happening too. And just to be open to what happens. Now, with that in mind, if there is any part of your own life where you feel like, and this was coming through, so I'm kind of tuning back into my notes here. If you feel like in any part of your life, you're really putting someone else on a pedestal, you're leaning on someone else to lead you or guide you, you are leaning on someone else to do the work for you or on your behalf. And even as a mentor, I still recognize and see where sometimes I take the lead too much for my own clients and I need to step back and I need to let them lead themselves. I am going to ask you to tune into the areas in your own life where you may be making codependency the priority. And by that, I mean being codependent on others for you moving forward in life, or codependent on others for your own health or happiness or well-being. We have to shake the codependency this month because, again, that word authority that I was speaking to this year 2024 is the year 8 in numerology. 8 is the number of authority, and you are the own authority in your life. So anywhere where you are outsourcing your power, giving your power away, putting others on a pedestal, you are going to be shown that this month, and we have to knock that off. We have to cut the cords. I know for me, I have gone through the last 2 years, big discernment. Anyone that I was putting on a pedestal, mentors, people in the spiritual community, people outside of myself, other channels, anyone in the past that I was putting on a pedestal, I went through some sort of big revelation where I realized that they were not who I thought they were. And I have had to cut the cords with a lot of people. And so with that in mind, for you, if you are outsourcing your power, if you're seeing someone else as being bigger or better than you or doing more, maybe that's me. Maybe I'm that person. Stop putting me on a pedestal. Stop putting others on a pedestal. Put yourself as the center and seat of authority in your own life. You are a sovereign being. You get to lead yourself. You are a self-led being with God's source as the source of your energy, your love, your wisdom, all of it. So with that in mind, I am not your source. No one else is your source but God's source and yourself. So this month is going to be an opportunity to really come into your sovereignty and your power, your decision making, your intuition, and really leaning into becoming the authority in your life. And being the authority in your own neck of the woods, in your own life, community, whatever that means for you. So maybe that means being your own boss, becoming a business owner. Maybe that means leaning into your authority in your family unit. And maybe that means really being an authority, being in charge, being in a leadership position in your job, in your community in some way. This doesn't mean putting yourself on a pedestal, but this does mean recognizing where you're outsourcing to others and taking that power back. And a reminder that during the July energy forecast, I spoke really deeply into turning points, places where you're going to need to make a different decision, places in your career and your relationship where you're realizing, like, I'm at a crossroads and I have to take path B when maybe I've been taking path A for a long time. And so you're going to continue to see these actions unfold as you realize that you're going to make a different choice. So continue to take that consistent action towards that path B, or that path that's leading you down the path of being, again, maybe on your spiciest timeline, whatever that means to you, while really relying on yourself and trusting in yourself and taking your power back to know that, yeah, I can do this. It is truly, and this is a big shift that I'm working on. I still fully haven't mastered this, but I'm working on it, where I wake up and I am making moment to moment intuitive decisions based on what I know, based on myself, based on trusting in myself. And maybe that means that things come into my awareness that were not there 2 months ago. And I'm like, oh, wow, I really want this when I didn't think I wanted that 2 months ago. Or, oh, wow, I know that this is going to work out, even if I don't have concrete evidence that it's working out right now. I know this is going to work out. So I'm going to keep making decisions that are going to lead me down the path to this outcome working out. So it's about the trust. It's about the moment to moment intuitive decisions. And it's about leaning into yourself as an authority. And yes, that could bring about some heat, because guess what? You may be falling into a different role in the lives of your friends, your family members. You may all of a sudden start showing up differently, and people may notice that, and they might have something to say about it. And they may not be happy with you, and that may cause maybe a little bit of conflict, maybe a little bit of friction. Maybe someone gets a little upset with you, and guess what? It's okay. If I can tell you anything, one of the biggest things I've learned this year is that as I have started to shift my energy and how I show up, especially within family and interpersonal relationships, that the person that people thought you were is no longer there anymore. And they sometimes might react in such a way that is negative, but that reaction is not your responsibility. Your responsibility is to be the authority in your life and to lead yourself. And if other people have something to say about that, sorry, that's on you. I am not responsible for your emotions, and I am not responsible for making you feel good or trying not to upset you. So stick to your beliefs, your values, your worthiness, your wisdom, your deservingness this month. Despite the Mercury retrograde, I forgot to show you this card, the Hanged Man. I mean, this is like perfect Mercury retrograde card, right? Despite the Mercury retrograde, despite if things start to seem like they're slowing down, you get to be the high priestess in your own life. This is the culmination of everything we're working on this month. And we've got the Ace of Pentacles here. You are going to feel so much more abundant. This is, to me, the cards are, the guides are saying worthiness, worthiness, worthiness. All of this month is leading you down a path of learning how to be in the seat of your power, and learning how to recognize your own worthiness. And anything that is making you feel unworthy, or anything anywhere in your life where people are treating you poorly, or they're not a vibrational match, or they're just not a fit for you anymore, they're going to fall away, and you're going to start to see and recognize, I am so worthy of something better, or I am so worthy of a partner who's going to love and respect me for me, or I am so worthy of a career environment and maybe a new manager who's going to give me responsibility and let me lead, or I am so worthy of making more money and being more abundant in my business. That's what this month is leading you to. And if things start to get spicy, if things start to heat up, it's all good, because you know, being in your power and being in your worthiness, that things are going to work out, that things are going to unfold exactly as they need to, that the universe is always holding space for you, for your biggest, most abundant life, but you have to claim it. And you have to let go of anyone that's pulling you back. So, with that sort of spicy little forecast in mind, let's see what happens this month. Let's go for it. And reminder that Mercury Retrograde is still happening. So, if the craziness ensues, if the clown car shows up, if the circus is in town, like whatever, because you're leading yourself and you know that you're going to be okay. So, lean on that. Let that be your lesson for this month. And I'm excited to see what happens and where we are when I start to film the September forecast. And of course, we also have to talk about the Lionsgate portal on August 8th, aka 88. And as I mentioned earlier in this episode, the number 8 is also the numerology number of the year, because if you add up 2 plus 0 plus 2 plus 4 equals 8, if you reduce down all of the numbers. So with that in mind, because the numerology number of the year is 8, and we've got this 8-8 portal, this year is going to be especially potent. Now, maybe you are familiar with this, maybe not, but we call it the Lionsgate portal because it happens during Leo season. And this was a time of the year when ancient Egyptians and other ancient societies really revered the stars and really celebrated the wisdom of the stars at this time of the year. And for me personally, whenever I think of the lion and felines, I think of the Lyra star system. Lyra is really the foundational birthplace of cosmic and galactic life. I talk about this briefly in my Starseed episode. If you haven't listened to that, I believe it's episode 5 or 6 at the beginning of the podcast. So make sure you check that out. But anyway, when I see and energetically tune into Lionsgate myself, I really see it as the celebration of our cosmic and galactic ancestry, and the culmination of understanding who we are cosmically, galactically as human hybrid beings, because we are a combination of all of these different star systems and all this different wisdom that we have received from so many different lifetimes leading up to this earthly one. So it's really a celebration of that and an opportunity to connect and channel that galactic ancestry if we so choose to. It can also be a really powerful portal for manifestation. So really being intentional with putting out there your desire and setting the intention to ask your guides, the universe, to help you co-create that desire. So it's a really great time of the year to connect back in with your manifestations, to do a ritual for yourself, all of that. Now, I do a Lionsgate portal celebration. However, I host it within the cozy container that is my Emily the Mystic membership. So it's an event that's not available to the public, but here's what I do. So behind closed doors, this is something I don't really talk about too much on this podcast or even on my social media pages, but I am able to do a mixture of trance channeling, cosmic and galactic channeling, and light language. And that is something that my beautiful light language students who have done my light language mentorship with me have had the pleasure of being able to witness. So during the Lionsgate portal, I'm going to be in full channel mode. I ask my consciousness to step aside, and I invite forward different cosmic and galactic groups to use my vessel to speak through me wisdom that you need to hear. I know the Pleiadians are going to want to come through. I know the Arcturians and possibly the Andromedans are going to want to come through. And maybe other groups. I also channel the fairies. I also channel and connect with Pegasus energy. I've had a lot of different cosmic and galactic connections coming through recently. So it's going to be fully customized and live channeled for anyone who is part of the membership. So you're going to get this really beautiful live channeled celebration with me. Plus, we're going to be doing a manifestation ceremony. So it's going to be a really powerful ritual and it's going to be just so magical. I don't even know what's going to happen. So I can't wait. I can't wait to just sit back and channel for you. So I would love to have you there. So I will leave the link below in the show notes for my membership. So you can join the membership. We also have some exciting workshops coming up. So you'll get access to those workshops as well. It's $44 a month. You can cancel anytime. But if you want to celebrate Lionsgate, come and do that with us. I would love to have you there. And also just a reminder that because this day is so potent, unfortunately, there is a shadow side to everything. And there are people out there in the spiritual community who don't necessarily know what they're doing when they're talking about connecting with cosmic and galactic beings and energy in the Lionsgate. So if I were you, I would really use your discernment when it comes to what workshops you're attending, what events you're going to, whether or not you really trust the person who's hosting a Lionsgate event, and whether or not you really trust some of the videos on YouTube that you're watching. Just, again, really tune into, is this for me or not? And do I trust this person or not? Because we want to make sure that, again, you are being the authority in your life and you know that you are a clear channel for yourself, for your own wisdom, and that your energy is not being infringed upon by anyone else outside of yourself. So that's just my little update about Lionsgate. I would love to see you in my membership portal celebration. So I will leave the link below for you to check that out. So thank you for listening. I hope you enjoyed this. And as I was saying before, if this helped you, please leave me a review on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, wherever you listen to your podcasts. It helps me make beautiful content, beautiful work just like this for you. If you are an avid viewer of my YouTube channel and you watch my YouTube videos every single week, just a reminder that I've been taking a little bit of a break and a little bit of time off from creating double the content on YouTube. I've been really focusing my time and energy on my travels and this podcast. And so I've taken a little bit of a break from my normally scheduled YouTube content, but don't worry, it will be back sometime during the month of August. So you can look forward to that. But in the meantime, I hope you enjoyed this episode. And just remind yourself, like, I am the authority in my own life. And anyone that makes you feel differently, it's time to shift your perception and your perspective on that relationship. And it's time to take your power back and not let people step on your toes anymore or walk all over you or treat you badly or pretend like you don't exist. Absolutely not. Those friendships, gone. Those relationships with mean bosses of yours, we're going to take your power back. Those maybe loved ones who are treating you poorly, sorry, but you're not worthy of my time. Okay? So I hope you take this guidance with you, and I will see you next week in next week's episode. Bye for now.